Yeah. Candace Owens has dropped another video. This one about Breonna Taylor. See, when talking about Breonna Taylor, it gets so touchy. Everybody's so touchy about it. And I understand both sides of it. And you know, I like Candace Owens. She makes so many great points. And most of them I agree with. Some people say, well, you can't, the way she says it. And you know me, I don't really care about the way you say it if I agree with it. I'm not so in my feelings with that. And I think we all need to get out of that bag. Let's leave that bag alone. Please leave it alone. Now, I gotta admit, with Candace Owens, she can go too far sometimes when trying to prove a point. I don't know if it's coming out of frustration. You might ask me, why would you be frustrated? Well, when you don't think of things the way most of the other black people think of things, you get insults. So many insults coming from so many different angles. To the point now, black people are okay with the white liberal insulting you. That can be frustrating. I don't know what's worse. The white liberal that used to tell us we all think the same, or the black people saying we don't all think the same, and then moving on to insults when you don't think the same. Like we have to think the same now. See, and this is a strange thing. I hate dealing with this. I really do hate dealing with this. But it is what it is. We all know this. Coon, whatever you want to be. Some black people are just not going to think the same. We're going to stand out. We're not going to do the same things. Not all of us want to play basketball. We got to get that first. Now, let's move on to the big bad Candace Owens.
All right, everybody. Hello, hello.
Oh, gosh, she is about to piss people off. You can see it in her face. She knows it. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. We have something to talk about. Oh, my God, you are about to make people's ass hurt.
Time to have one of those little chats because it seems that the Black Lives Matter narrative is getting more and more ridiculous every single day. And here we have a stunning case, Breonna Taylor, where actually every single piece of information that was provided us through the media was an absolute lie.
Well, not all of it. They got her name right, and a cop got shot. They got that right. A boyfriend shot at him. They got that right. And she passed away. They got that right. That's all I'm giving them. That's all I'm giving them.
Just an absolute lie. Like, no, actually nothing that they told us about this case was true. If you have been following this case from the beginning, we have been told that Breonna was an EMT, was living life the right way.
Well, at one point, she was an EMT. Now she's an emergency room technician working under the registered nurses. So I don't know what that would be. Is that like CNA or something like that? Either way it go. If I get killed tomorrow, they can say basketball player, because I used to play basketball.
The police officers showed up accidentally to the wrong door and shot her while she was asleep. All of it, a lie. Not even one part of it's true. Not one piece of that was true. First and foremost, Breonna Taylor was not an EMT. She had been in the past, but she had to step away from being an EMT because a car that she had rented all the way back in 2016 was involved in a homicide that was being investigated. A homicide which involved her boyfriend, the one that was a drug dealer, her ex-boyfriend at the time that she has been killed, Jamarcus Glover. This is all about a very intricate drug ring that the police officers had been following for years in this town that Breonna Taylor was unfortunately at the center of. Now, I'm going to say a sentence that nobody is going to care about because the media, when you tell the truth, always ignores this sentence. Breonna Taylor did not deserve to die. It's common sense. She was mixed up with the wrong people. It's unfortunate that she's dead. You know, this is one of those instances when you're growing up and your parents tell you not to hang out with the wrong people because you can end up in the wrong circumstances and you can get yourself into trouble. This is something that we learn when we're children, when you become a teenager, when your parents are trying to guide you and make sure that you don't hang out with the wrong people or fall into the wrong crowd, as we like to say. But for whatever reason, this is no longer being held as a norm for Black America. It doesn't matter if we're hanging in the wrong crowd. It doesn't matter if we're actively helping our boyfriends move drugs, which is what Breonna Taylor was actually doing, okay? This is the truth. You can head and you can read all of the police investigative reports.
Now, I know you're going to say she wasn't helping him move drugs. And maybe it's not that simple. Packages were being delivered to her house. She wasn't holding them there. They would get delivered. She would call him and tell him, hey, you got a hoodie. And I know people say, well, that's just a hoodie. Obviously, them people that don't know anything about the streets or the drug game or any of that. So he was getting the hoodies, air quotes, delivered. She would call him and tell him his package is here. Allegedly. But what she really was doing was holding the money. No, they didn't find drugs in the house. They didn't find money. I wouldn't expect them to find money because she's holding the money. I wouldn't expect them to be stacking up money to give her just to keep in the house. We don't know where she's putting the money. Now, in there, he did say, I can go in that house and go straight to the money. Now, I don't know what that's about. Would he be stupid enough to have somebody holding money like that in their house permanently? Or is that just where it's held at until they can go and put it in some bank account somewhere? Who knows? She really should have got away from this guy. He didn't give two shits about her. He kept using her address to throw the police off, even though he wasn't living there anymore. How about that? Crazy. See, Black women, stop thinking that all of these niggas care about you. They don't. They just don't. They put you in a bad spot.
Doesn't matter that the police had an actual warrant to be at her place, that they had been trailing her, that her name was on the warrant when they showed up at her place. It was not the wrong address. Everything the media told you was a lie. The police officers had every right to be at her property. They had been monitoring that property for weeks. They had a poll camera watching every single thing that group of people did because they were involved in meth, crack cocaine. They were moving drugs, and Jamarcus Glover was the person who was at the center of it. Okay? That's the truth. You were told that the police officer shot her while she was asleep. No, she was standing in a hallway.
Now, you might ask, does it matter if she was in the hallway or in the bed sleep? Yes, it matters because they're feeding you a bogus narrative. It matters a lot because they're making it seem like these cops just went there specifically to kill her. They didn't kill the drug dealers. They went there specifically to kill Breonna. The target was on her back. Just like those people that say, even though he shot at her, they didn't have to shoot her. It's because she's standing in this tiny hallway and they think, oh, he shot her and he was just aiming at her. I think he was pretty much aiming down the hallway where the shot came from. See, with the bogus narrative, what happens is it feeds your anger. In turn, we go out and just do irrational things based off of that. To where it hurts us more than it hurts the people we're angry at. You're not hurting cops because you want to go tear up the neighborhood. They get all kind of overtime, all kind of extra pay, hazard pay for some of them. You filling up pockets, buddy. All because the media came out right away and gave you a narrative. They didn't know what they was talking about. They just gave you a narrative. You don't even know where this she was asleep in bed at. Where was she sleep? She was asleep. Where did it come from? You don't even know. It didn't come from Kenny. We was in bed watching TV, and then somebody came at the door. I know. I'm gonna put that on Benjamin Crumb.
Right? You were told that she had nothing to do with anything, and it was all an accident. It was not an accident. Okay, she was knee deep in drugs.
See, Candace, that's where you lose me. Just call her Tony Montana now. She was knee deep in drugs, so deep she got cocaine all over her elbows. You don't do that. She wasn't knee deep in drugs. See, the problem here is she wasn't with this guy anymore. He was possibly the side dude, possibly. She continued to help him out. And we get that coming from the hood. A lot of our women, I told you, oh, do whatever you can to hold them down. And she probably should have let that go. But she was not knee deep in drugs, Candace. I know. I think you just want to piss people off with that one. When you say that, you just want to piss somebody off.
You can actually log on and read the transcripts from when her ex-boyfriend, Jamarcus Glover, got arrested back in 2018. They actually recorded their jail conversations between her and the entire network of the people that were moving drugs through the neighborhood. Okay? He was asking her to do things in his place. She was involved.
Now, Candace, he was asking her to do things for him. He wasn't asking her to do things in his place as a drug dealer. The phone call was like, hey, call this dude. This dude, call him. Get him to call me. Call this guy. Get him on three-way. Hey, this dude, get in touch with this guy. He got my money. Tell him to come bail me out. He was not telling her to do things in his place as the drug dealer. Like, go drop off this work with this guy. No. We got to stop that. She wasn't involved in taking drugs over here and selling them for him and all that. You don't have to do that.
And she was also made it very clear that she was worried because she loved him so much that he was going to end up in serious trouble one day. Unfortunately, she didn't worry enough about herself and what trouble she was going to be in one day.
Now, that's facts. She should worry about herself and what trouble, but she's not thinking she's going to be in any trouble because she's just helping him with little things. She doesn't feel, you know what? She's holding the black man down. That's how she feels. By all means, by any means necessary, hold the black man down. You see? And it's sad so many of our women are going to end up in such a bad situation dealing with this type of stuff. But that's the culture. That's the culture. Be with the drug dealer and help hold him down.
This is a case that comes down to personal responsibility. Of course.
Personal responsibility. See, I know we got some slories out there that's going to be like, personal responsibility? She wasn't doing nothing. See, it's like your parents always tell you. The decisions you make months ago could lead to your hurt later. When she says personal responsibility, it's not about, at this time she wasn't doing nothing. She was just in the house in her bedroom watching TV. No, that's not what it is. Like, we got to understand that. Her dealing with this dude and helping this dude out at all, it led to this. Now, we're not going to say just dealing with him in the past, because she could have just cut him off all the way when they broke up. That would have been the best thing for her. But she didn't. And this is what it led to.
The most important part about this case, which no one is talking about, is that they fired first. They shot a police officer, and I shouldn't say they, I should say the guy that she was with at the time, Kenneth Walker, fired and shot a police officer before hiding behind her and running to the back of the house. And she then took all the bullets from the returning police officer as they were standing in a hallway side by side next to each other. So
you can't say he hid behind her and she took all the returning shots and then turn around and say, as they returned shots and they were in the hallway standing side by side. You can't say that. Now, I don't like that he didn't keep her out of the hallway. She could have stayed in the room. We don't know who that is. If you got to go get your gun, she need to go back in the room. Bottom line. You don't know who at the door. If you got to get your gun, she got to go back in the room. Why not? But I got questions on how she just caught them all and he didn't catch nothing. That's different. That's crazy.
The police come, they knock on the door, okay? And they say police. Why do we know that's true? Because Kenneth Walker himself verified that him and Breonna Taylor heard the knock at the door, and the neighbors came outside to speak to the police officers. The neighbors have verified that the police officer said it's the police, okay?
Now, not all the neighbors. You got neighbors that say they didn't hear nothing. They just started hearing shooting. But I'm assuming it's the neighbor that was closest, whose door was closest to hers. Not whose wall on the other side where the bullets went through. The neighbors whose door was closest did confirm it was the police, and they said police. The argument is going to be, oh, Candace, well, the 11, 12 other neighbors said they didn't hear police. It's like this. In my apartment building, if the police banging on the door across the hall from me, I'm going to hear the banging and I'm going to hear them say police. Right upstairs, right over that apartment, they're going to hear the banging. They might not hear them say police. They're going to hear some subtle, like some faraway banging. Third floor or on this side, second floor, they ain't going to hear none of this. But guess what? The whole building is going to hear the gunshots. Just to put that into perspective.
Now, you hear people who have white guilt, and people doesn't matter. How do they know it was the police?
Oh, I can't stand the white guilters. Some of them truly believe what they say. But most of you white guilters, let's get this right. You're pissed off at the system because you didn't live up to your potential. That's what it is. So this whole Black Lives Matter thing that they're doing, it's their way of getting back at the infrastructure, the system, the infrastructure. They're mad as hell. They don't want to take accountability for their fuck ups and not living up to their potential. I get it. You pissed off. I didn't live up to my potential. But I can't say, oh, it's this. Look, it was me. I fucked up here, 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 and here. If I wouldn't have fucked up, maybe just half of those times, I was on the money. They'll never do that. They just, even with what they call white privilege, you still turned out to be a fuck up. Yep. And they just mad about it. They mad at the system. Oh, let's get with these black people. Oh, yeah, you got the same enemy, huh? Look.
I don't know. Shoot first and ask questions later. I wouldn't know it was the police if you knocked into the police. Okay, would you grab your gun and fire at them? Wouldn't you look out the window, check the peephole to see what's going on?
Candace, right here, you're getting in your feelings and you're not thinking about what you're saying. Yes, you would go look in the peephole, look out the window, see what's going on. And I truly believe Kenneth was on his way to see that. But what was it? Look, when they got in the hallway and he started to go, guess what? They was already coming through the door. And you can't ignore that. You can't just say, oh, when you check the peephole, listen, they was already coming through the door. Think about what you're saying.
Before the police officers barge into your house, which they have a right to do because they have a warrant on them. Do you understand that Breonna Taylor is dead? That is sad. It is the fault of Kenneth Walker for firing at a police officer.
Yes, she's dead, and it's sad. But it is not Kenneth Walker's fault for firing at a police officer. He did not know what was going on. You cannot blame him. He did not know who was at the door. Now, he could have had an idea of who was at the door if his girlfriend would have at least told him she was still had some little things going on with this drug dealer. It's Chop's fault. It's Jamarcus Glover's fault. That's whose fault it is. Don't put this on Kenny. It's not Kenny's fault. If you're going to say it's Kenny's fault that she's dead, at least say, hey, you could have kept her in the room or got her out the way when you decided you was going to shoot, or even after you shot, you could have got her out the way. But don't say it's his fault for shooting at the police. The man said he didn't know it was the police. And I believe he didn't know if it was the police. I believe if he actually heard them and he knew it was the police, he would have been like, I'm not about to shoot at no damn police. You get it?
Black Lives Matter started at the principle that unarmed black Americans were being shot and killed for no reason by police officers. We have now dramatically shifted the narrative to Black Lives Matter, which means even when a black American is armed, shoots a police officer, and the police officer has a warrant to arrest and to inspect that property and take drugs, still the black American is somehow a victim.
Yeah, they have changed it up. And I hate that they changed it up. That's weird. Because it's like with Jacob Blake, they say, well, they know they wrong for saying, oh no, they could have did this and did that and anything else but shoot him. And I say, but bro, what would you do? Well, I would eventually, but 7 times? Well, why one time? Why one time? Whose fault is it that one time they had to shoot Jacob Blake? See, but they don't care. It's like with the guy, I forgot what it was, Pennsylvania, he came out charging at the police with the knife. Just come out the door charging at the police with the knife. The police run from him. Too slow to get away from him, he turn around and pop him. And they want to tear up the city. She right about that.
That is pointedly ridiculous. And let me also tell you something else. It is the bigotry of low expectations. Stop believing. If you are a white person, you've been defending this, and you've been wearing a Breonna Taylor t-shirt, and you've been demanding justice for Breonna, then you should be demanding that her boyfriend serves time in prison for firing at a police officer.
Oh, Candace, we would never agree on this one. He shouldn't serve time. They would have to prove. They would have to prove that he knew it was the police and he was going to go shoot the police. And it don't make sense that he knew it was the police and he was going to go shoot the police, because he would definitely not have Breonna in the hallway with him if he knew, that's the police, I'm about to go to war. That's because when you want to lock him up for that, that's what you're saying. He's like, yeah, the police at the door, I'm about to bust at him. Come on. You need to stop. See, that's the thing. That's when you go way too far. That's way too extreme.
You should not be demanding a police officer's figurative head on a stick, okay? These are the people that protect and serve the community. You keep saying Black Lives Matter. Did any of the black lives that were having crack cocaine moved into their neighborhood by this whole organization of criminals matter to you at all? Did you know maybe somebody overdosed on the drugs that this group was selling? Did that matter to you at all? Did any of that? The black lives only matter when the narrative that you hope, that you wake up every day and you hope that you're going to see, is that police officers are killing black people for no reason. This case is an unfortunate one. It is not a case of police brutality. It is not a case that has anything to do with race, okay? You could have put a white person, you could have put a meth lab in there. If police went to serve a warrant and it was a bunch of white kids selling meth and they knocked on the door and the meth kids shot at them, the police would have shot back. It's called protecting your life.
Yeah, they would have fired them white boys up. I mean, yeah, they would have fired them all up. Holes all up in their goddamn trailer home.
Life, because police officers have families to go home to. What more do you want police officers to do? They investigated. They had a warrant. They were at the right residence. Breonna Taylor's name was on the warrant. Jamarcus Glover's name was on the warrant. They did everything the right way. They went to the court, got the warrant, knocked on the door, and announced themselves, even though they didn't have to. They could have knocked it. They could have barged on the door and gone in the way that the FBI raided Roger Stone's house. Okay? Did Roger Stone, by the way, shoot at FBI raid officers when they swarmed his household? Did he go, oh, well, I didn't know who it was, so I just shot first and asked questions later? No, he didn't do that. So it is entirely possible that when police officers knock to serve your warrant and bang down your door, that you don't shoot at a police officer and then hide behind your girlfriend and allow her to take the bullets. Why are we not having that conversation about personal responsibility? Oh, I know, because we always have to infantilize Black America. So this is movement is no longer about saving Black lives. No, it's about treating Black people like toddlers.
Bingo. She hit it on the head. We say it all the time over here. We want to be treated like retards, where we can say and do whatever we want and you can't say it's wrong. If you say it's wrong, you racist. Hey, well, black man, you just did something or said something racist. No, I didn't. I can't be racist because I'm black. And there you have it. Black Lives Matter in a nutshell. That's why they want to change the meaning of racist. Now it has nothing to do with skin color. You can be any color. Speaking in whiteness. I can't stand these motherfuckers.
It's no longer about equality, it's about exceptions. It's no longer about equality, it's about entitlements, right? You want black people to be entitled to things that no one else in America are going to be entitled about. That's what Black Lives Matter activists are about, right? Beyonce, I want justice for Breonna Taylor. I called the attorney general and told him I want justice. Oh, because you sang single ladies, you can make a phone call and tell them not to do their job, and you want to make sure police officers serve time for what? For defending their lives when they're fired at? What is wrong with you guys? What kind of a world do we live in when we can no longer distinguish between right and wrong?
Well, to answer your question, we live in a very dumbed down world. And answer me a question. Did Beyonce really just get in touch with the Attorney General? Because I can't just call the Attorney General and get in touch with him. That's a fucked up world we're living in, where your entertainer can just go and get in touch with people of importance in society. The entertainer, oh my gosh, she's so important in society. Look, she can dance. Could you please call Mr. Attorney General and tell him he needs to lock someone up for Breonna Taylor? Oh man, this is a sick fucking country.
Do you realize how scary that is? That we have people that are actively defending criminals every single day. There has not been a single instance this year that Black Lives Matter has jumped on where the black person was not involved in some level of criminality.
That's facts. Black Lives Matter, because y'all ain't did nothing about Elijah McClain. Elijah McClain, like, he was mentally ill. He didn't do nothing wrong. Now, he didn't exactly listen to everything they told him to do, but he was mentally ill. Black Lives Matter ain't really jumping all over that one. Only the criminals. It took them a while to get on Breonna Taylor. Because on the surface, she wasn't a criminal. And she's really not a criminal. She's from a culture that told her to hold these niggas down even when they doing stupid shit. Or fucked up shit. Black Lives Matter is sick. Running around this motherfucker naming streets after crackheads. This is what they pushing for. We need change. So we want you to paint the street in front of the White House in yellow to say Black Lives Matter. Oh my God, the white people there's finally some that care about us because they're painting signs and naming streets. Silly ass people.
Not George Floyd, who was on fentanyl, ingested fentanyl before his arrest, was obviously, if you have now read the labs, they are saying he died of a drug overdose and there was actually no injury sustained to his neck despite watching the case, right? A man that had methamphetamine and fentanyl and was trying to use counterfeit bills. Was he a pure victim? Absolutely not. Jacob Blake, he was a guy who had a warrant out for his arrest for digitally raping a black woman and telling her that she smelled like she had been with someone else, right? According to the warrant for his arrest.
Oh, but you know what they gonna say about that? Jacob Blake, they didn't prove he was guilty. It was a warrant. He hadn't been to court innocent until proven guilty. Like, really, fresh off the heels of a Me Too movement that just said, believe what the women say. Now all of a sudden it's, don't believe what the women say. Wait until they're found guilty. See, fresh off the heels of that movement. Remember, they want to vote for this guy, Biden, fresh off the heels of the movement saying, believe that woman. He said, believe that woman, until that woman said something about him. Until we talked about that woman saying something about him. Now it's, no, you can't just believe anything, Nation. And this is what they did with Jacob Blake and the whole digitally. What the fuck is digitally raping? Like, I put my hands inside of you and that is digitally raping? Am I saying the word right? Digitally?
Does anybody care about that black woman? No, because it's not about black lives, right? But Jacob Blake, God, he got shot in the back as he was going to grab a knife and was running from police officers. So who cares? He's a victim because he got killed by police officers. Rayshard Brooks physically beats police officers, grabs their taser and shoots at them in Atlanta. And oh my God, watch the city burn, because this guy, they should have just let him go. They should have just let Rayshard Brooks leave with the taser, because it doesn't really matter.
Oh my God, they did say that. They did say that. That was crazy. You know what else they said? Oh, he was just sleeping in the... Well, first they said he was just sleeping in the parking lot at Wendy's. Then they said, well, he was just sleeping in the drive-thru. It's like, drunk as hell. You know how drunk you got to be to fall asleep waiting on the car in front of you to pull up and get his food? Or make the order? I don't even think he made his order yet. Waiting on the car in front of you to finish making the order, you fall asleep. You know how fucking drunk you have to be? That's not tipsy. That's not half weed. That boy was sloppy drunk. Got him a little rest. Might have even sobered up a little bit by the time they came. But you had to go to jail that night, bro. You drunk driving like a motherfucker.
Could have gotten him later, because the job of a police officer is to make sure that the black man gets away safely with a weapon and is allowed into a neighborhood. Not that the black man should be apprehended immediately because he's a risk to the rest of the community.
You see, you see her face scrunch up. She got mad as hell. Just mad as hell. Never got a black man. Little face scrunch up. Out here looking like a little Simba.
The job for a police officer is to protect and serve the community, not to protect and serve the criminals. Yes, it would be nice if criminals didn't fight back when they were being apprehended. It would be nice. In a perfect world, all of these warrants and all of these arrests would go off without a hitch, right? But a level of that taking place, if we actually want to aspire to that perfect arrest scenario, then it takes two to tango. You have to listen to instructions from police officers. Is this the result of the black community having such a high rate of father? I'm just trying to understand. I can't wrap my head around not listening to instructions and not listening.
Well, yes, I believe it has somewhat to do with the fatherlessness in the black community, because that is really high. And, you know, they're not learning self-accountability. And you know what it is? When it comes to listening to the police, the thing is, sometimes the police don't have a reason to be fucking with you and telling you to do anything. But the other problem is even when you're wrong, whatever the cop says, you think he's been an asshole. And that's a big problem too.
Listening to authority and running away and beating and trying to hit a police officer. It boggles my mind. Like, are we just not being raised to think that we have to listen to any rules? And is that breakdown of family also transpiring because we have a culture of celebrities like LeBron James who are pretending that these people are all victims and innocent, and people like Beyonce writing letters to attorney generals who will not...
Oh my God, she said LeBron James. And hey, look, that dude is a problem. I ain't gonna make this about LeBron James. That dude is a problem. But you know what? I've been trying to feel the fear he talking about. I'm trying to feel that fear because I don't feel it. I'm trying to figure out how he feel the fear. When was the last time LeBron James was driving like, oh my God, the police are going to pull me over. I'm so scared. Not never. But he going to do this what my people want me to say. LeBron head ass. You a good basketball player. But like that black lady on the news said last night to Charles Barkley, hey, Breonna Taylor's not playing. Why are you even talking about her? This is what I would tell LeBron James too. Play basketball, bro. Like, you ain't even important enough for us to listen to. Like, you're not even somebody we need. You're not a plumber. Nigga, we don't need basketball players. But that's it, y'all. Like, the rest of this video is like a couple more minutes, and that's pretty much the video. And holla back.
When the nighttime fall and the street lights bloom and the stars come out, I hope you don't look like a fool, cause you can hear him hollering at the nighttime fall, and the street lights bloom, and the street lights bloom, and the shots ring out, when the shots ring out, hope you don't get consumed, cause you can hear him hollering at the moon.